Okay, so it has been one of those weeks where it feels like the future is just arriving all at once. Seriously, we've had everything from moonwalking humanoids to mind reading AI, and it feels like the world of robotics just dropped one jaw dropping headline right after another. So, what is really going on here? Let's try and break it down. Yeah, this quote from one of our sources just perfectly captures the feeling, right? It wasn't just, one or two little announcements. It was this constant, nonstop stream of breakthroughs that honestly made it feel like we were fast forwarding into a whole new era of technology. I mean, just stop and think about this for a second. We are not talking about those clunky, slow robots from a few years ago. No way. We're seeing machines with genuine athletic skill, AI that can actually master a complex sport. And get this, systems that can literally detect a mistake in your brain before you even make it. It's the kind of stuff that, until now, was pure science fiction. But, and this is the big question, are these super flashy demos the whole story? Is this a sign of real, sustainable, fundamental progress, or are we just seeing a whole lot of hype? Well, to figure that out, we actually need to take a pretty surprising detour into a world that, on the surface, has absolutely nothing to do with robotics: the silver market. I know what you're thinking. What on earth does silver have to do with robots? But trust me on this. What happened in the silver market just a short time ago gives us the perfect lens to understand the difference between a flashy spectacle and real, lasting change. So, not that long ago, this was the price of a single ounce of silver. The market was absolutely euphoric. There were stories everywhere about a massive squeeze that was going to send prices to the moon. Everyone was piling in. And then, in less than 2 months, everything changed. The price completely collapsed, a 41% wipeout from its peak. So what happened? Did we suddenly discover a giant mountain of new silver? Did factories just stop needing it all of a sudden? Nope. The answer is no. The actual fundamentals of silver hadn't changed at all. Something else was at play. The world's most important financial institution, the Bank for International Settlements, they analyzed this crash, and their conclusion? It had nothing to do with the real underlying value of silver. It was all about this one concept: speculative excess. Basically, people got swept up in the hype. They borrowed a ton of money, and they chased the price up into the stratosphere, completely disconnected from reality. And this whole experience, it gives us the perfect mental model for what might be happening in robotics. I like to call it the splash in the water. Think of it like this, right? The water in a swimming pool is the real underlying value, the actual technology, the solid business deals, the stuff that's truly here to stay. Then you have the splash. That's the hype, the viral videos, the breathless headlines, the excitement that makes everything seem bigger and more immediate than it really is. And here's the key. The splash is super exciting to watch, but it always comes back down. The water level, though, that's what really matters in the long run. All right, so let's take this idea, this framework, and apply it back to all that incredible robotics news we saw at the beginning. It's time to separate the splash from the water. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the splash, those jaw-dropping demos that go viral. They're amazing, but they often happen in a perfectly controlled lab. And sometimes, like we saw with that chaotic hot pot robot, a splashy demo can go spectacularly wrong in the real world. But on the other side, you have the water. The boring, maybe, but absolutely essential building blocks of a real industry. This is the stuff that truly moves the needle forward for good. And this quote from a robotics founder really gets to the heart of it. Demos we see online are often in these perfect, controlled settings, but the real world, it's messy, it's unpredictable. And the gap between a perfect demo and a product that works reliably out in the wild, that gap can be huge. So let's just ignore the splash for a minute and really focus on the water. Because while it might not be as flashy, this is where the real revolution is quietly taking shape. Just take a look at this. Every single one of these advancements is a perfect example of water. A deal to build 10,000 robots isn't a flashy demo. It's the actual beginning of an industrial supply chain. A compostable robot? That's not a gimmick. It's a brilliant solution to the massive e-waste problem that a robot revolution would otherwise create. Each of these things solves a real, fundamental problem, and that's what makes them so important. And really, that's the bottom line. The splash is what grabs our attention, for sure. But it's the water, the foundational tech, the sustainable materials, the boring but essential logistics, that's the real story. This is the bedrock that the entire future of robotics is actually going to be built on.
So the next time you see a robot do something that just looks incredible, ask yourself this. Is this just a beautiful splash designed to go viral? Or am I seeing a real sign that the fundamental level of the water is actually rising? Because honestly, understanding that difference is the key to truly seeing where the future is headed.